Hey, how's it going, guys? LittleKuriboh here, back on Academy Island once again. You may have noticed there's been a wee bit of a hiatus over the last month or so, and that is not without good reason. Also, it was against my own wishes. I didn't want to stop making hundreds of videos about YGO GX, a spin-off that I have otherwise had very little interest in up until now. I'm very passionate about that, clearly. No, it was imposed upon me. You see, I was minding my own business, chilling out in the schoolyard when the police arrived, and they came up to me and they said, hang on, where's your crew? You can't be chilling out in this schoolyard if you don't have a crew. It's in the Duel Academy rule book, which may as well be national law. If it's a rule at Duel Academy, it is a rule the country over. Anyway, the police told me you can't be chilling out here in the schoolyard without a crew. It just, no. You're a loose cannon, Billity. So yeah, they really cracked down hard on me for that one. They were very upset about it. And needless to say, it has left a horrific blemish on the otherwise perfect track record that the Duel Academy has. You know, the school where the students go missing in bizarre circumstances, in very mysterious locations, and the school's response to this is to go, I mean, what are they gonna do? Investigate it? I mean, that would be daft. Yeah, I was put in jail for a little bit where I chilled out with my crew in the jail yard. But that didn't last too long because Professor Crowler actually bailed me out. Because he's actually a big fan of these GX reviews because I spend so much of them mocking and ridiculing Jaden. And if he's all about anything, it's that. So yeah, welcome back to LittleKuriboh Watches YGO GX, a series where every week I watch an episode of the YGO GX dub, and then I recap it in these videos, and I talk about how it made me feel. More than anything, I just sort of say random nonsense in a British accent and hope that that constitutes comedy. So far, so jolly good. I've missed talking about GX, I gotta say. Took a bit of a hiatus, as I mentioned, and I gotta say, I had a real itch to dive back in to the world of GX, so I'm really excited to be stood here in front of a green, the school, talking about it with you. And if you want to watch along with me, if you want to watch YGO GX at the slow, confusing pace that I am doing it at, you can watch it on Hulu, you can watch it at YGO.com, you can watch it on DVD, you can watch it, I believe, at Crunchyroll. I'm not sure if the dub's on there. I think it is. But hey, there are options. That's what I'm saying. Legal options. Please go use them. Check out Yu-Gi-Oh! In all its forms. You got the anime, you got the manga, you got the card game, you got the video games, you got the merchandise, you got the fanfic. There's so many ways to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! This is just one of them. If you're wondering about the hair, by the way, it's gone again. And that's because when I went to prison, I wanted to look as hard as I possibly could. And I think you'll agree that shaving the top of my head really offsets the tubby nerd aura that I have going for me. I look like a regular Jason Statham if he played too much Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, let's get right onto it with YGO GX Dub Episode 14, A Spirit Summoned. And if we're talking about the alcoholic kind, trust me, you're gonna need to summon way more than one to enjoy this series. And the episode wastes no time starting off as it shows an Obelisk Blue student running through the forest, terrified. Presumably because he only just realized that Chaz was the glue holding Obelisk Blue together. And without him around to Chaz things up, things have just gone to pot. What do we do when we fall, Master Bruce? We Chaz it up. And as the Obelisk Blue student is running through the forest, he thinks, I can't believe we did it. I can't believe he came alive. Frampton? You know what I can't believe? I can't believe this bastard's hairdo. Just look at that curtain of hair. That's wriggling out of the back of his head. That's like an entire window blind's worth of hair coming out of him. You could stand between his back and the underside of his mullet and put on like a puppet show in between the folds of hair. That's how unnecessarily long it is. You think when he sits down in a theater, the people behind him like spend the whole show waiting for the curtains to open. And as he's running, he talks about his friends being taken, and it's like, oh good, more missing students to ignore. It's nice to know that Duel Academy's safety standards are about on par with a dilapidated Waffle House. And then we get blessed by the awesomeness that is the YGO GX opening theme. And speaking of the YGO Yu-Gi-Oh! GX opening theme, I just want to give a cheeky little shout out to my best friend X the Dark One, who did a cover of the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX opening theme and put it on his channel, and it is the Badger's tits. Not the bee's knees, the Badger's tits. I'm gonna put a link to it right here so that you can go listen to it right now, and then once you're done, you can come back to the review, and it'll be like you just watched the GX opening theme as part of my review. Go ahead, I'll wait. Chilling up with the crew in the schoolyard, finding trouble, never looking too hard. Back at class, they never taught us this. We come back to Academy Island, and it appears to be snowing. And it's actually a very misleading shot because it doesn't show you Seto Kaiba flying over the island in a helicopter, snorting cocaine and accidentally spilling it out the side of the window. And he's like looking at the island being like, God, who built this thing? This is stupid. Wait, that was me? I'm too high to care. So yeah, it's not really snow, it's drugs. And we get a voiceover from Jaden Yuki saying that everyone has gone home for winter break. Except of course for the main characters. And Jaden says, well, all the more dueling for us. How? How is it more dueling? There are less people to duel with now. So how is it more, Jaden? How is that greater than? How did you come to that conclusion? It's like if you have 100 people and you take 95 of those people away, there isn't the potential for more dueling, you're just gonna do it more with less people. I'm just saying, it's bad mathematics. And then Chumley makes things even worse by saying that now there's even more cafeteria food for them as well. Why would they continue making the same amount of food when they know that everybody has gone home? They wouldn't. They just wouldn't. Also, you never even leave the dorm, so what kind of a difference does it make how many people are outside of it? Jaden and Cyrus are having a full-on duel inside the dorm while Professor Banner eats with Chumley. And while they're eating, one of their marshmallows explodes and frightens Pharaoh the cat. Meow! I haven't been that startled by an explosion since my friend Tristan the cat ran after the postman, and he got sucked right onto his mail van. There's nothing left of him. Kind of a morbid story, really. Banner, you told me there would be fancy feast at this event. Some VIP treatment this is. Brah! And then outside we see the Obelisk Blue student from before the opening titles runs out of the woods and stumbles over to the Slifer Red dorm and just has just enough energy to throw himself through the window and fall in a pile of broken wood and glass on the floor. Could you not just knock on the door? Did you not see that that was an option? It's very rude. Kind of a faux pas you just committed there, Obelisk Blue. And of course, seeing a frail human body throw itself through a window and lie in a pile on the floor in front of him is just enough to distract Jaden from playing a card game. And Jaden looks at the Obelisk Blue student and says,
Whoa, bro, you look like you've seen a ghost.
You know, I'd pay good money to see a Ghost Hunters style show starring Jaden called Whoa, Bro, You Look Like You Saw a Ghost. It's just always 30 minutes of night vision footage of Jaden sitting in a chair asleep, while ghosts are constantly doing things around him. And every so often he asks the ghost of YGO if he's seen any ghosts around here. And then he shrugs and goes back to sleep. Whoa, bro! The Obelisk Blue student says he did see a ghost. Jinzo, the dueling card. Jaden tells Professor Banner that they might want to call the school nurse. And then Professor Banner recognizes this student as one of the kids in his para-dueling class, which it turns out is a class devoted to the paranormal side of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I really hope that whenever Professor Banner gives out tests in that class, he tells his students that they don't stand a ghost of a chance. 2006 was a good year. And this kid, who it turns out is called Tory, says that everything that Professor Banner taught them about paranormal aspects of duel monsters turned out to be true. And then Jaden follows this up with, forget the school nurse, he might need a therapist. Jaden Yuki there making fun of somebody's mental problems. Also, hang on, is Jaden implying that because this kid believes what Professor Banner told him in a school classroom, that he is crazy? Why is there a class on it if it's meant to be bollocks? Why can you get a degree in bollocks? Yes, come to Duel Academy to earn your degree in bollocks. Some of the finest bollocks students in the world have come from Duel Academy, and they've gone on to pursue elite careers as bollockologists. Tory explains that Professor Banner taught them that under certain conditions you can summon dual spirits, and they tried to create these conditions even though the Academy strictly forbids it. Why are you teaching people how to do it then? In this class, students, we're gonna teach you how to summon Satan, but don't you dare summon Satan! And then in a flashback, we see all the Obelisk Blue students wearing shitty white robes and holding candelabras and using a Ouija board. You think it's going to spell out the word final? Tory explains that they all put their hands on the mystic box. What? Mystic box? It's a fucking Ouija board! Because obviously mystic being the tamest way of referring to magic that you can possibly come up with, and with it being a board game, I guess boxes are involved. Haha. Mystic boxes. Why not just call it Scary Monopoly Board? Frightening Chutes and Ladders. But no, Mystic Box. That works. And the kids do this rhyming chant in order to summon Jinzo, which goes something like this.
From vapor to flesh, from wind to a roar, come Jinzo from the land of yore.
Wait, is Jinzo from the land of yore? Why is he like a robot then? He looks like he's from future. Was Jinzo just like a farmer who also happened to dabble in experimental genetic technology? Was he a real person? Is he a ghost of the... What's happening? And then Tory explained that the mystic box came alive and started spelling out the words, "Give me 3 and I'll be free." See, even in the afterlife, they're begging for Half-Life 3 to come out. Tory explains that they thought that Jinzo had been referring to 3 trading cards. And Professor Banner says, oh no, Jinzo would never be satiated by mere cards alone. Why are you teaching this to fucking children then? Tory says, unfortunately, they learned too late after they had already agreed to Jinzo's deal. Wait, did he make them sign a contract? What? So here's a handy lesson to take from this if you're ever using a mystic box to invoke the spawn of Satan. Always read the fine print. Do you think they had to sign an NDA, a numpty demon agreement? Tory says he's looked for his 2 friends everywhere, and they've just vanished. And Jaden tries to calm Tory down and says they probably just went home for winter break. But Tory says that he called his friends' parents, and they have no idea where they are. Yeah, once again, this seems like something the school staff should be taking care of. And then Tory explains that even if he wanted to go home, he couldn't, because he tried to board the boat leaving for winter break, and he saw Jinzo on the boat waiting for him. What? Yeah, we actually see a flashback of the kid going to get on the boat and seeing Jinzo in like a trench coat and a hat, chuckling, looking at him from on the boat. What is he, the fucking Babadook? Is he Slender Man? What's happening? Does nobody else see him? Do you think Jinzo thinks he's passing as a regular person when he dresses like that? Do you think it's like Ben Grimm where he wears a trench coat and everything's fine? Suddenly the lights go out in the Slifer Red dorm. It turns out that Chumley got so hungry after that last marshmallow exploded that he started pulling out all the electrical outlets and stuffing the wiring into his face, thinking that it would be like spaghetti. No, it was actually Jinzo! Even though he's a ghost, he apparently is able to just pick up Tory and take him with him. You know, for a duel monster that clearly hates traps, this Jinzo loves setting them. Everybody in the dorm freaks out, including Pharaoh the cat. Meow! I've encountered this Slender Man fellow before. All you need to do is collect 8 pages and you'll be fine. Oh wait, it's Jinzo. Well, you guys are screwed. I'm gonna go lick my privates. Brah. Jaden and the others pursue Jinzo into the woods until they lose sight of him. But Pharaoh the cat is able to detect which way he went, and he points them in the right direction. Meow. I see dead people. And I also see this dead bird that I brought for you as a present, Professor Banner. You're welcome. Meow. Jaden and the others arrive at the central power station for Academy Island, a place that the kids have no trouble sort of just wandering into, because once again, 0 safety regulations on this fucking island. They spot Tory in the middle of the central power station, and the entire thing lights up with electricity, presumably because it's reacting to the sheer amount of static electricity that is stored within Jaden's ridiculous hair. It just can't compete with it. Jinzo appears and tries to intimidate them by telling them that they are no longer safe. And you can tell they're trying to make his voice sound kind of scary because they've given him this weird sort of flanger filter effect. But it just sort of comes off like he's lagging on a Skype call and he was already using a shitty microphone. Just listen.
None of you are safe.
Pharaoh the cat jumps into Banner's arms. Hold me! And Banner says...
It is the electricity. He is using the current to power himself up.
Is that something ghosts are known to do? Did the ghost need to plug itself in using an iPhone cable? What's happening? Jaden says that if Jinzo wants a sacrifice, then he should take him instead. And everybody's reactions to this are very telling.
You hear me, Jinzo? Take me! Oh no! Jaden!
Be sure to tag yourself in those reactions. I am definitely Banner. Jinzo says that Jaden clearly has more vitality than Tory, so he takes him up on the offer. Is vitality a ghost word for stupid? Jaden says, okay, on one condition, and let's guess what that condition is. It's either A, Jaden allows Jinzo to summon a corporeal avatar in the mortal realm, whom Jaden has to defeat via some sort of physical or mental combat, or B, they're gonna play a children's card game. I'll give you a couple guesses as to which one they do.
A duel. Very well.
Yep. Jaden sets down the stipulations of their duel.
If you win, you take my life energy. But I win, and you give back the other two you took.
Life energy. Is that how Jaden describes a soul? He's clearly been playing too many video games. If you win, you get to take all of my remaining continues. Jinzo says there should be enough electricity here to sustain him for the duration of their duel. And then he uses the same pickup line on Jaden that I used on my wife when we first met.
First I'll beat you, then I'll consume you.
I mean, it clearly works. Jaden tells Jinzo to get his game on. Jaden, he's a cybernetic scientist from days of yore. He doesn't know what that means. And then we get a random shot of the forest and a beam of blue energy shoots into the sky. And then we could just cut right back to Jaden and Jinzo, so I'm not sure what the f that was. Did bloody Goku just do a Kamehameha into the sky in celebration? What the hell was that? Jinzo starts the duel off by summoning Malice Doll of Demise in attack mode, which is basically Chucky if he was made of wood and carried a f***off axe. And I do appreciate how 4Kids have tried to tame this guy down, because he's clearly terrifying, by making it look like his axe is made out of magic. Jinzo then activates Ectoplasma, which is a card that allows both players to sacrifice a monster at the end of their turn and then inflict half of that monster's attack points in damage to the opponent. And so Jinzo has the life force sucked out of Malice Doll of Demise, and a bunch of ethereal spectral spirits fly out of him and go attack Jaden. But of course, none of that is as scary or troubling for young children as it would have been if they'd seen that doll carrying a regular non-magical axe. Jaden notes that Ectoplasma is a continuous spell card, which means that it can be used every single turn, which to me suggests that Jaden's catchphrase of "get your game on" is also a continuous spell, as he uses it in every fucking episode. Jaden is about as freaked out by the fact that he is dueling an actual ghost as he was when he was dueling the fucking Undertaker.
All right, Spooky, here I come.
In other words, he don't give a shit. I'd love to see Jaden in the movie The Exorcist. Linda Blair's head is just rotating 360 degrees and spewing green vomit all over the walls, and Jaden is like, "The power of elemental hero Bubble Man compels you!" Jaden throws down a whopping 4 cards face down, and he summons elemental hero Dear Evan Hansen. And then Jaden plays a card that allows him to draw 4 extra cards on his opponent's turn, and then get rid of 4 cards on his turn following that. Jaden attacks with elemental hero Avion and then uses Ectoplasma's effect to remove Avion's soul from its body, and then its soul goes over and punches Jinzo in the fucking face. This episode is starting to turn into Jinzo's bizarre adventure. Jinzo explains that since Malice Doll of Demise was sent to the graveyard as a result of a spell card's effect, it comes back. Jinzo then summons Emissary of the Afterlife in attack mode, and it's basically a robot Grim Reaper. Can you imagine how depressed this guy must have been when Y2K turned out to be no big deal? He was probably like, I'm gonna get so many robot souls, it's gonna be like Christmas came early. And then they fix it and he's like, you guys have put me out of a job. The very specific job of robot Grim Reaper. Jinzo commands Emissary of the Afterlife to attack with Single Slasher. Single Slasher also happens to be the name of a dating website for serial killers. Jaden plays the trap card A Hero Emerges, causing Jinzo to have to guess what card Jaden is holding. And he gets it wrong, which causes Jaden to be able to bring out Spook Me! Spook Me! Spook Me! And both monsters destroy each other, causing Jinzo to want to audition for the Haunted Mansion ride in frustration.
Foolish mortal.
Apparently, sending Emissary of the Afterlife to the graveyard causes its special effect to be activated, and Jaden and Jinzo can both put a monster from their deck into their hand. Jinzo chooses Thousand Eyes Idol, also known as Eric Idol after a terrible gamma radiation spill, and Jaden chooses good old Bastina. And since it's Jinzo's turn, he tells his Malice doll to attack with Cleaver Heaver. Wait, didn't Mosh from the Headbangers wrestle under that name for a brief time? The doll throws its axe at Jaden and it passes right through him. I guess it was a magic axe, my bad. And then Jinzo uses Ectoplasma to sacrifice Doll of Demise, causing Jaden to drop to 1800 life points. In celebration of this, Jinzo goes on a long, hate-filled rant about binge-watching culture.
It's much better to enjoy something slowly, rather than to take it all at once.
Cyrus points out to Jaden that his legs are slowly disappearing. I gotta say, this feels like it's just the Undertaker duel all over again, except for real this time. Because wasn't he losing his legs then as well? It's like you subverted the idea and then you just went ahead and did it anyway. I guess it works. Jaden says he's not gonna let Jinzo take his life force, he's gonna fight to the end. And then he summons elemental hero Clayman. Yes, nothing quite says fighting to the bitter end like elemental hero Clayman. And then Jaden plays the spell card Clay Rap and equips it to Clayman, causing Clayman to don a backwards baseball cap and shades and start rapping to the kids about the dangers of alcohol. My name is Clayman and I'm here to say, stay off drugs and you'll be okay. Clayman is enveloped by a strange translucent barrier of viscous fluid. Okay, 6 fantasies. And then Jaden activates polymerization to fuse Clayman with Bastina to create Rampart Blaster.
Here's the sweet part.
This had better be fucking sweet, Jaden, if you took the time to say that.
Since Clayman was used in the fusion, both he and Clayrap are sent to the graveyard.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that is not that sweet. Jaden explains that since Clayman and Clayrap were both sent to the GY, it activates a special ability that allows him to destroy one spell card on his opponent's side of the field. And Jaden uses it to destroy Jinzo's Ectoplasma. And Chumley declares this to be licious. Add it to the list of things that Chumley declares to be licious. For example, John Krasinski, very licious. Scarlett Johansson, not so licious. Jaden says,
and now, it's time to let Blaster do what he does best.
Filling out his tax returns, spending time with his children, negotiating the treacherous peak of Mount Everest.
And that's blasting!
Of course it is, yeah. Rampart Blaster fires missiles at Jinzo, taking his life points down to 500. And Chumley and Cyrus are overjoyed.
Yeah!
Sorry, I guess they're underjoyed. Seriously, that has to be one of the most apathetic yeahs I've ever heard in response to a monster shooting missiles at a ghost that is trying to take their best friend's soul. It just doesn't quite match the stakes that are involved, you know? Yeah. Jaden throws turn to first turn. Jinzo draws and says with this card, his resurrection is one step closer. Wait, so he was alive at one point and he's trying to come back to life. Jaden Yuki is apparently more curious about the card that Jinzo drew than the fact that Jinzo is apparently somebody who died and wants to come back to life. Or the fact that there is a way of coming back to life through card games. No, Jaden's way more interested in whatever the hell monster he drew. Which turns out to be Jinzo, by the way, and Jinzo summons himself. I like to summon myself twice a day. Electricity shoots into the Jinzo card, and Jinzo takes on corporeal holographic form and stands in front of Jaden cackling. This whole thing is playing out like some sort of shitty creepypasta. Do you think all the creepypastas in the Yu-Gi-Oh universe are somehow connected to trading cards? It's not so much Ben drowned as Ben activated Umi. Jinzo attacks and destroys Jaden's Rampart Blaster, taking Jaden's life points down to 1400. And Chumley is a Muppet referencing a Muppet.
Oh no! Jaden's blaster's gonzo!
Jaden summons his Rottweiler in defense mode, and Jaden says there's a reason why he's called man's best friend, and Chumley helpfully explains,
and there's a reason they call him man's best friend.
No duh! And if Rottweiler is destroyed, Jaden can take polymerization and an elemental hero from his graveyard and put them into his hand!
Wait, is that why dogs are called man's best friend? I thought it was just because they were nice and cuddly. Some old tramp wanders onto the field. Oh no, sorry, Jinzo has summoned that. It is apparently a very threatening monster. Jinzo reenacts the ending to Old Yeller and shoots a purple laser beam out of his hand, destroying the robot dog. That is how that movie ended, right? And then Jinzo attacks directly with the harmless What the I thought it was just a bloke that was going to ask me for some change while I was trying to walk to the train station, but it turns out it's a Lovecraftian horror. Jaden's life points drop to 400, and Jinzo puts something on his head that looks like he bought it off of Alex Jones's website. Jinzo says with his amplifier helmet equipped, he is no longer bound by his special ability and can activate trap cards as he pleases. And Chumley declares this to be not licious. Add it to the list! Jaden then summons elemental hero Bubble Man and equips him with Bubble Blaster to give him more pop. Oh shit, he's given him a Bubble Bazooka! What? It's weapons of mass Bubblestruction! Bubbleman uses the devastating effects of his Bubble Bazooka to destroy Spirit Caller, which causes Jinzo to activate his trap card, Spirit Barrier. Now, so long as Jinzo has a monster on his side of the field, he can't take damage, except for emotional damage. If you taunt him about his unfortunate skin condition, he will be very hurt. Jaden uses Fairy of the Spring, which is basically a teeny tiny little cute, adorable, sweet little fairy with two f***-off broadswords. Imagine if Navi was just flying around Hyrule just dual-wielding Uzis. That's basically what this is. Hey, listen. She allows Jaden to take an equip spell card from his graveyard and put it in his hand, and he chooses Clay Wrap. And then Jinzo says,
Would I call that pathetic? Almost as pathetic as I'm about to make your Bubble Man look.
Yeah, you really don't have to try that hard to make Bubble Man look pathetic. He is a Bubble Man. Jaden explains that when Bubble Man is equipped with Bubble Blaster, when he's attacked, he doesn't explode, his weapon does. Bubble Man there, the dual monster representation of erectile dysfunction. Jaden draws Winged Kuriboh, who appears by his side and hums at him.
Oh yeah, I'm with you, pal. He is one ugly dude.
A spirit.
He's a friend first and a spirit second.
I like how Jaden's all offended by the implication of Winged Kuriboh just being a spirit, after he just finished calling Jinzo f***ing ugly. Yeah, you made the faux pas, Jinzo. Jaden suggests that his friendship with Winged Kuriboh is why Kuriboh doesn't have to feed on people's souls to stay in the land of the living. And then he brings out Clayman and equips him with Clay Wrap, because you know, enough of all that talk about spirits and how they survive in different dimensions. That stuff's boring. Back to the card games. Jaden uses polymerization to fuse Elemental Hero Clayman with Clay Wrap and Elemental Hero Bubble Man into Elemental Hero Mudball Man. And Jaden uses Clay Wrap's effect to destroy Jinzo's shitty tinfoil hat that stops him from having to listen to liberals. As a result of Clay Wrap, Jinzo is also about to be destroyed, so Jinzo starts having a full-on nervous breakdown and freaks the f*** out, which Chumley declares to be licious. Add it to the list. Jinzo refuses to be banished so easily, and he takes possession of Tory's body, which, if you know anything about the future plotlines of YGO GX, is kind of cool foreshadowing if you believe that the YGO GX writing staff were actually capable of such a thing. Jaden activates Solemn Judgment, taking half his own life points to prevent Jinzo from possessing Tory, which of course would have been how The Exorcist ended if Jaden were the star. Not quite as dramatic as falling down a flight of stairs and dying after having rediscovered your faith, but Jaden gets it done. Jaden commands Mudball Man to attack with Maya Shockwave, which is M-I-R-E Maya, not Maya of Lady Marmalade fame, although that would be really cool. And the attack is just a laser beam. They're all laser beams. I don't know why they changed the names. It's just laser beams. An unnecessarily large, paranormal, cybernetic, digital hologram explosion happens. And when Jaden comes to, it's the next day, and he sees Tory and his friends lying just off to the side, snoring together. Chumley asks if he missed breakfast.
He's fat!
Professor Banner declares that they are all safe and sound, which isn't that comforting coming from the guy who gave these kids the ability to summon Jinzo to almost kill all of them in the first place. Jaden thinks to himself he won't forget this in a hurry. dual spirits aren't just real, they're dangerous. Well, they're only dangerous if you voluntarily give your soul to them after performing a very specific ritual with a mystic box and then run out into the woods to go meet them so they can kill you. So, not that dangerous in the grand scheme of creepypasta-themed villains. The others ask what they should do about Tory and his friends, and Jaden says,
And let them sleep it off. I'm sure their spirits are weary.
And that's the end of the episode. And it was an alright episode. Obviously, you can say it's fillery. I don't know if I'd call it fillery. I don't really like to use filler as a criticism that much because I personally have enjoyed a lot of filler in media. I don't think something being filler makes it automatically bad. It makes it probably worse than the main story content, or at least less interesting. But there's always good filler. I think there are lots of good examples of strong filler out there. The first Yu-Gi-Oh! Season I really invested myself in was the stuff with Noah in the virtual world, and that was pure filler, and I was so on board with that. So I can't point to this episode and say that, oh, it's bad because it's filler, but I don't know, I wasn't digging it that much. I get that they're trying to set the scene to have dual spirits be an important part of the story in future seasons, but I don't know, Jinzo as a weird Babadook, Slenderman, creepypasta thing, it just didn't grab me that much. I've never really thought of Jinzo as a scary card. I don't know, I was never really that worried about what might happen. I don't know, it's hard being a grown-ass adult watching this show, because if I was a kid, I might have been terrified. But as a grown-ass adult, I was not, I wasn't even on the edge of my seat. I wasn't even on the edge of my seat. I was fully in my seat. The normal situation seat-wise. And, you know, there was some cute things here and there. I liked them talking about winter break. I liked them talking about what the other students did. I'm curious as to why Jaden, Cyrus, and Chumley just wanted to stay on the island and not go home to see their families. Are they not in a good way? Are they falling out with each other? What's going on? Because they're obviously not staying on the island to do more studying. This episode wasn't great to me. It was okay. But more importantly than that, what did you think? Let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode and what you thought of me talking about this episode, because I obviously this is my first episode that I've done in 4 or 5 weeks or so, probably a little bit more than that, and so I'm probably a little bit rusty. I apologize, but that's what happens when they arrest you for not having a crew on the schoolyard. You forget a few things. You get a bit rusty. Before we go, I want to give a massive shout out to all of the Patreon pledges. You know who you are, but in case you don't, your names are going across the bottom of the screen right now. I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you. You guys, especially during the hiatus that we took, you guys have been such a huge support for us. We would not be able to take the time or the investment to do the stuff that we do without you, and that is legit. That is 100% genuine. We wouldn't be able to do this without you, and so thank you for that. Thank you. Thanks for watching another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX with me, and until next time, stay licious!